Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube and follow us on Apple and Spotify podcasts.
St. Lawrence to me. For a 3A school, my lord, are they stacked. They bring back a lot of that same team that won state last year. On the mound, they'll still have John Strakowski. They'll still have Sam Chin. They're going to bring back Jimmy Benson. Offensively, you got Daniel Coyle. You got Mickey Lotus. You got Corey Less. Oh, not to mention they get Tristan Steger this year behind the plate, who, per our 2027 rankings, he's the best catcher in the class right now.
All right, episode 45 here of the Bullpen. Big weekend with the World Series happening. Game 7, the Dodgers end up winning it. They go to extra innings. It's tied 4-4 going into extras. And, it's kind of how you draw it up for a World Series. I don't know if you guys were locked in. I know we were kind of texting back and forth throughout the series the past week or so. But you guys got anything on that?
I wanted that game to last forever. I didn't want it to end. That was the best series, the best World Series that I've seen in a long time. I'm still biased. I think the Cubs, that was still the best in my opinion with, just being a Cubs fan and the history that was broken there and just the way it ended. But I thought, not being a fan of either team in that situation was so good because my blood pressure would have been, through the roof and it would have been unhealthy and it would have been scary. But luckily, I was just watching for fun and, I was having a blast. And I wish the Blue Jays could have taken that last game, but it is what it is.
That's a great call about not being a fan, because if I was a Blue Jays fan, I don't know how I would have handled that. With being that, 2 outs away from capturing the World Series. It did remind me, though, of the Cubs World Series. Game 7, Chapman gives up the home run on the breaking ball in the 9th to tie it. So,
against somebody that you're not expecting it to happen from. That dude hadn't hit a home run, and I forget what they said, but it was that was not a guy that you think can beat you in that situation.
Yeah, I think it was middle of September or something they said was his last home run. Kudos to him, because then he comes out and he makes a big-time defensive play, too, at second base. That was not an easy play. That ball kind of took him back towards the outfield, and he kind of stumbled almost, but he threw a strike to home plate to get that force out. Awesome game. I think I have the same sentiments you guys do. Sad that it's over. Sad that baseball's over now for a while, but that was a heck of a way to cap it off.
I thought that start from Max Scherzer was incredible. He was the worst pitcher in the majors in September, I think, statistically, and then what he did to go out there for, I think, 5 innings and put the team on his back in a way. Potentially his last game ever. So we'll see, depending upon how he feels about the future. But I thought that was really cool to see with Scherzer on the mound against forgetting who started that. Oh, Ty. What am I doing? Ty.
Well, speaks to analytics are a huge part of the game, right? But there's still a major human factor to it and a competition factor. And Max Scherzer, he proved that for sure, because he was nails.
Talking about pitching, all of us, for the most part, being pitchers here, Yamamoto, what he did is incredible. I could not even imagine what his arm felt like. And just for him to, bear down and throw, 96 pitches the day before and then throw 2 in 2 1/3 or over 2 innings in that next day, that dude's arm. And then watching him trying to pick up the trophy, he couldn't even move his arm. He couldn't lift it above his head. I was yeah, dude, I
How
know.
is it even possible to do that, Pete? To throw that many pitches.
That's the only situation. You should never do that unless it's that situation. That seriously is it's worth the injury risk, I guess, because the only reason you got him was to try and win that World Series, and that's the situation. I guess it's if you think it's worth it or not, and it was clearly.
And apparently he was begging to get into one of the earlier games too. It was game 4 or something. I heard he was trying to get into right after his start as well. So that guy just wants the ball. You got to love that as a manager and as a teammate. The fact that he's willing to do that and put his health on the line. I wouldn't recommend it. unless it's for that, one opportunity. But man, that was nuts when I saw him come back out.
And speaking of some playoff baseball, the Wisconsin crew on their Badger State Ball podcast this morning did an interview with Caleb Durbin of the Milwaukee Brewers. He's from Lake Forest, Illinois. Went on to play at Washington University, and then got drafted, got traded, and then eventually ended up on the Brewers and had a pretty good year with them, playing in the playoffs this year. But so keep an eye out for that. That'll be out, I believe, on Wednesday. So the same day that this is out, there should be out as well. Should be a good interview with him.
Yeah, hopefully we can get some clips from that, Gavin, and share it to the Illinois, audience as well, because from everything you were telling us, it just sounds like he's an outstanding human being, really intelligent, and clearly he's a worker. He grinded his way to the big leagues, and yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing it.
Yeah, I heard a couple of his questions after the recording was done, or his answers to the questions after the recording was done, and he just gave some really in-depth answers, and you could tell it seemed like he really wanted to just provide any information that he could to these kids and parents too, probably. But I thought it was really interesting and super cool that they were able to get him on. But with that, we had 4 guys from Illinois on playoff rosters, and Dane released a story, I think it was last week, kind of mentioning those players. But they were Mason McCoy, Jacob Junis, Quinn Priester, and then Caleb Durbin. Dane, I see we have Brent Hedrick on there. He was with the Yankees, but he wasn't actually on a roster, right?
Yeah, he was going to be on the taxi squad. I think he wasn't activated during the playoffs, but he was on the taxi squad. So a little shout out to him, ISU guy from Braidwood. Yeah, it was a pretty cool thing to see. It's the toughest roster to crack is the playoff roster. So I saw a cool little note in the story was Jacob Junis. I believe he graduated in 2011, and he was one of the top players in the country out of Illinois. So I don't know who was writing stories back in 2011, but there was a cool little write up for him.
I know Sean Duncan. He was on Jacob Junis back in the day because I believe it's Rock Falls High School that he was at. I don't want to be misquoted there, and I want to say he was a two-way guy who ends up, moving to the mound. And a lot of those shortstops that move to the mound have a ton of success. They have feel and throw a ton of strikes and are athletic. And Gavin, you mentioned our Wisconsin crew bringing on Caleb Durbin. Just Wisconsin in general, really cool. Like the Dodgers, they had Alex Call, they had Ben Rortvedt, and then the Blue Jays, they had Dalton Varsho making some plays out there in center field. There was just a ton of Wisconsin representation. And then in Illinois, Will Klein went to EIU, pitched at EIU, was huge for the Blue Jays, or actually for the Dodgers, I'm sorry. And I think it was their Game 3 win. But just a lot of, I love the cold weather representation, but then obviously the Illinois-Wisconsin stuff. We're tied into all the Wisconsin stuff that goes on throughout the year as well. So love seeing those guys that are kind of making an impact at the biggest stage.
So it looks like he threw 4 innings there at the end and struck out 5. So yeah, that's pretty cool too.
That was the marathon game. Am I correct with that?
Yes, the 18 was 18 innings.
Yeah.
One thing too, Brock Stewart, I saw a tweet from him today, a Normal West grad. He was hurt this year, so he wasn't on the Dodgers playoff roster, but he mentioned something about potentially getting a ring, and I don't know if he was just referencing the Dodgers getting the ring, or if he also will get one too, just because he was a part of the team this year. I don't know how that works, but
I think if you're a part of the team at any point, you get one.
Any point, is that right, Tyler?
Yeah, Gavin Lux, or not, I shouldn't use Gavin Lux as an example, but there's probably a certain quota of games maybe you appeared or were on the roster, but I also think there's some instances where there's different ring packages. I'm connected with someone who's part of the Red Sox organization in the minor leagues, and there was different packages he could select as to what type of ring he got. So I think it kind of depends, but yeah, I would think Brock Stewart probably gets a ring.
Well, and I was shouting out Mitch Shulowitz. He's a 2013 grad from Mundelein, pitched at UIC. He interned for us for a little bit one summer. He's just an awesome guy. He was an area guy for the Dodgers for a while. Now he's out in the Four Corners, still with the Dodgers. So part of that organization, I'm sure it's a big day for him as well.
We should just acknowledge that both our teams won yesterday in the NFL. Bears had the craziest win that I can ever remember watching personally. So yeah, I just want to shout that out before we just brush over that, Gavin. I mean, come on.
Well, I don't want to speak for Gavin, but I don't want to jinx the Bears now by any chance, speaking on it. But it was a crazy game. The emotions those last 4 or 5 minutes were crazy. The ups and downs, the backs and forth. I think I've said it in podcasts in the past. Like, I'm just all in on Ben Johnson. That is for me the guy. I will back him. There was a lot that would have kept you up at night last night from the Bears. Whether it's the defense, the special teams, the kicking situation. But no, and even the pick six that gets called back by a fingertip. That game is not nearly as close if that touchdown holds. But man, I think Ben Johnson said it in the post game. I'm obsessed with the locker room celebrations, all the post game interviews. You don't apologize for a win in the NFL, and I couldn't agree more. Especially on the road. Shout out to Joe Flacco, playing through a sprained shoulder, basically, an AC joint, whatever he had going. He took a couple hard hits during the game, too, and just did not seem phased. There was one shot of him late there when they had the ball in the red zone, kind of trying to score that game-winning touchdown is what it would have been, and he looked so calm, calling out the cadence. And look calm in the pocket, I thought, all game. And they've got playmakers over there for the Bengals. But crazy game. Shout out Joe Flacco. Shout out Caleb Williams, kind of leading them back there on that final drive, making a couple throws. Loveland bouncing off those 3 defenders. And thanks, Bengals, for not wrapping up and letting Loveland kind of scamper down there. But crazy game. No, definitely a lot better to come out with a victory than a loss there. But man, that onside kick, there were so many things there, Tyler, that had the blood boiling. So,
I mean, that's a game that the Bears lose like every time in the past few years, for sure. And Caleb, I don't know, I trust him. Like, in those late game situations, like, I feel confident that we have a chance to go down and score. He's proven it multiple times, and that's a great feeling to have. Like, that's something that I haven't felt with the Bears quarterback in a long time. And so it's a really good feeling.
That was a really awesome win for the Steelers. Beating the Colts, I think the Colts had to be the hottest team in the NFL going into last week. It looked like their offense was unstoppable. Danny Dimes, and then you've got Jonathan Taylor was rushing for 3 touchdowns in 3 straight games or something like that. He had some crazy streak going, and you got to be pretty excited here because I know your football stuff hasn't been great over the last few weeks. So soak it in.
Yeah, that. Not wrong there. No, it was good to see. I mean, I'm glad the defense finally looked like what it should have looked for most of this year, and especially against that type of offense. Like you said, I mean, I don't think there was anybody hotter in the NFL than Daniel Jones and Jonathan Taylor. Like, that duo had been tearing everybody up. So, no, I'm excited. They've got a tough remaining schedule, so it's going to be interesting to see, and here in a few weeks I'll get to see them live and in person as they take on the Bears at Soldier Field. So,
looking at the Bears, like, they've got a gauntlet coming up. They've kind of been getting these W's against teams that hopefully you should. They've got the Giants next week, and who knows with them? They seem to be a feisty group in Jackson Dart, but yeah, they've got some tough games coming up.
Yeah, Drew. So some other news, kind of more centric to our Illinois showcases. Showcase season is coming up here. Starting in, I believe it's the end of January now, we'll have some events. But the Procase, Drew, like, what do you got on that? It's obviously a big event, awesome event that kind of leads into the Super 60.
No, the Procase, love the call out because it is something that I think has become one of our staple events here in the wintertime over the last few years, maybe since 2020 or so. And it's a credit to just our company in general and what's been happening with the Super 60. The fact that Super 60 now pulls from so many different states around the country, um, it is so much harder to get Illinois talent in that event. I think I've talked on this, maybe once in the past on the bullpen about this, but Illinois is loaded with talent like every year, and it seems to be getting better and better. And there are guys that in the past would be no doubt surefire Super 60 invites that are not invited now, just with how tough it is to get an invite to the Super 60. So to me, that's where the Procase comes in. We try to run it a couple days before the Super 60. This year we have it on the Tuesday before the Super 60. I want to say it's January 27th down at the Rhino facility in Shorewood. We invite Illinois, Wisconsin products in that 2026 class, maybe some select JUCO guys as well, especially position players in the area. That should be seen by pro scouts. I know last year Dominic Jacoby came over from Harper, had a good showing, committed to Louisville there as well. I don't know if he was committed before the event or not, but we try to keep it to a select number of players. I would say anywhere between like 20 to 40 players is a good number for that event. We try to keep the quality high, and every year we keep a spot open at the Super 60 for a standout showing from that event. Like Enzo Infelice last year put on an absolute show during BP. He's one of the best hitters that has come through Illinois in the recent memory. But I want to say with swinging wood at that event, like averaged over 100 miles an hour on his exit velocity, was using the whole field, and just a natural hitter. Now he's at Cincinnati doing his thing this fall from all indications. But yeah, he earned an invite to the Super 60. Cal Sefcik earned an invite to the Super 60 from that. And then we've had drafts coming out of there. Like Jake Saitella was drafted out of St. Charles East. He was a Procase member. Jude Warwick was drafted out of there. And I'm doing this off the top of my head, so please, if you guys have some other names that have, earned an invite to the Super 60 or been drafted out of there. Indiana sent over a couple guys last year as well. So it's a Midwest Procase. The reason being, like, these area scouts cover multiple states, so they want to see guys in their coverage area. So if a scout reaches out and says, "Hey, I have Indiana and I want to see this guy over there," yeah, bring him on. We want good players. I'm excited for it once again this year. The scout attendance has done nothing but increase every year. I feel like the talent as well. Ethan Eberle was there last year, and then he goes on to, pitch as a true freshman in some huge games for Louisville, and I remember him just throwing a big-time breaking ball at that event. So yeah, I think that's my spiel on the Procase. Feel free to dig in there, guys, if you have anything else.
Yeah, the first one that we did in the winter that I was a part of, Victor Izquierdo. Sorry.
Easy for you to say, no.
Yeah, really easy for me to say. He earned an invite to the Super 60 from his showing there. And I think you nailed it on the head, Drew. Like, this event is really, really important for the potential pro guys heading into their spring. Like, coming off a big winter, right? You've been putting in the work. These pro guys want to see you. They want to create their follow list, and this is the perfect time to do it. And you could even earn a Super 60 invite on top of that. But, like, yeah, it's a perfect opportunity just to get, show off the improvements you've made, and just get on that radar of those pro guys, because it's ticked up over the years tremendously, and it's an awesome event.
I think one of the coolest things too is when we do have a guy who's maybe a little bit lower on our rankings list or something like that, or maybe missed last year, missed some of the big pro events. Putting a guy on the radar from our Procase, probably like a Jude Warwick, who ends up getting drafted by the Tigers. But you mentioned Victor Izquierdo, Lockport grad, goes to Navy. He's a captain at Navy. Like, I just want to shout out Victor, because that's a stud of a human being. I think, he's going to be elevating in that Navy SEALs type program that they have, is potentially his future. I think Shai Robinson was at that same Procase too, Pete, that Victor showed well at. A ton of names we could throw out that have showed well from there. But looking forward to it again this year. I know our first tier invite should be going out soon, and really excited to see what kind of registration and player participation we get.
Looks like you were right. He was at that Procase and then earned a Super 60 invite from that as well.
Yeah, all right. And then kind of now with the 2025 events complete, if you go to our homepage, the Illinois homepage, go to the showcases drop down. There's a 2025 Event Leaderboards page. It takes you to all the leaders from all of our events. Invite-only events are included in that, so every event that we had is included in that. But today and kind of the next few weeks, we're going to break it down, talk by different positions, and just really highlight the leaderboard on the podcast. But today we're going to talk about the catchers. So really your catcher velo and pop time. So we just kind of have a name to talk through and maybe a few more. But if you guys want to just open it up, whoever wants to get in there, feel free just to bring up your first guy.
I can start us off. I'm going to go with Keenan Donaldson out of New Trier. As far as the velocity leaderboard, he's tied for 7th, 80 miles an hour from the crouch. And then pop time wise, he finished with the 8th best in all of the state with a 182 to 201 pop time range. This summer, he kind of emerged on the scene. Him and I want to say maybe for you initially at a tournament. And then we had him, I want to say that was the West Suburban Summer ID, and was showing well there too. And we're like, hey, like we need to think about this guy for senior future games. We invite him. He comes down to Georgia, and I just loved how he played. Pretty hard-nosed style kid. Thought he was a very calm presence behind the plate for those pitchers guys he doesn't catch normally, and I felt like he held his own. And then in the box, right-handed hitter, felt like he had really good at-bats the entire, 3-game set. So he's still uncommitted out there as well, so any colleges listening to this, take a nice long look at Keenan Donaldson.
That's a perfect shout out. I can hop in here next with a guy who's absolutely all over this leaderboard, not even just in the catching department, but Zolan Wyatt from Lane Tech, 2027. So, I mean, he was number 4 in catcher velo at 83, number 16 in pop time with a 188 to a 202. But then moving over to offense, he's number 3 in max EV with 107.6, number 13 in average EV with 96.3, and then number 1 in peak distance and 419. And if I'm like 99% sure those offensive numbers came from the state games, because he was by far the loudest round that I saw on the day. And he was one that we also saw. I'm sorry, yeah. Gavin just gave me a shout that he's actually a 2026 grad. I saw him in the winter, and he made tremendous strides even just from the winter to the summer. And I was kind of keeping an eye on him in the spring, and he put together a good spring. But it seems like he's really turned it on, and things have really clicked for him, and he is a for sure uncommitted name to know.
I mean, you don't see too many 26s still floating around with those kind of just loud tools, Pete.
And built like that. He's every bit of 6'4" and lean and projectable.
I think that's a great call out. I tried to put multiple guys on my list because a guy like Zolan Wyatt, I felt like a lot of us would gravitated towards. So I love it. Lane Tech. If you're in need of a catcher with arm strength, with power, check him out as well. And
I'm going to go with catcher Caleb Hornbrook from Normal UI, Lakeland commit. He's on this list in the catcher velos. He's tied for 6th with 81 mile per hour velocity. You go down to pop times. He is 17th with a 188 pop time. This guy also puts up 100 mile per hour exit velos. He also performs in game. I think he was one of the biggest winners during the state games, and also got to see him during the spring against Washington. He did really well. He was one of the top performers during that game as well. Just a guy that performs not only on defense but also offensively, and an impact guy that will go to Lakeland and looks really good.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with catcher Max Green out of Taylorville. He's a Heartland Community College commit. He was tied for the 6th highest catcher velo at 81 miles an hour and the 3rd best pop time at 180. I feel like he's just a name that's continually gotten better, and over the years, and we've kind of grown to like him more and more each time we see him, whether it's in game or at an event. But he's a good catcher back there defensively. Good hands, really receives it well, moves around well, blocks it up, and has a strong arm as well. At the plate, right-handed hitter. I've seen him homer in game, but just a strong right-handed hitter too, and I think Heartland's going to be a good get for him.
I'll round it out here. I'm going to take 2026 Ethan Carpenter from Evanston. He's still uncommitted. We saw him at the Chicago preseason ID at the Pullman Center, and as I'm going through this list, I don't know exactly what ranking was, but he was 79 miles an hour from the crouch. He had a 199 to a 205 pop time. And I watched the video, and I remember watching the video, helped write him up from the event, ranked that event. I think he's a well-rounded prospect. Like if you're looking for a guy that can catch and also hit, I like the swing. It was loose. It was pretty intentful, with some lift in there, like gap to gap. And then defensively, like we've got some video of him catching pens, got some video of him coming out of the crouch. It's clean out of the crouch. The arm, I like the way the arm works. It looks loose, quick. 97 EV, during BP, and then I just think he's a guy, like we've chose a couple uncommitted 2026 this year. Like Ethan Carpenter deserves some love. So Ethan Carpenter out of Evanston, I will be very curious to see what happens with him as far as down the road and where he commits.
And then Dane, I know this is kind of later in the show than typical, but Illinois State games, what do you got? I know some commitments came through last week and continuing to get more and more.
Yeah, we're over 130 commits at this point as we're recording. Augustana has taken the lead in the D3 commitments up to 4, and there's still a 4-way tie within the JUCO ranks with Heartland, Lincoln Land, McHenry, and Morton. So we just had a commit today, and Cole Latimer going to NIU, two-sport athlete, committed as a quarterback recruit for the football team as well. So another high-end guy that came from our state games. So it's really cool.
Chase Nelson over the weekend committed from Fremd. He's going to Harper. Really good second baseman. His brother and he played on the same Fremd team up the middle this past spring on a really good Fremd team that was in our Power 25 for much of the year. So top of the order type of bat. He can really run. It's like a sub 6'7" runner. I think it's a really good prospect there and a good gift for Harper. He's got D1 type of aspirations coming out of Harper. I could see him being a follow for sure.
A big commit last week was not I don't believe a state gamer this year, but Caden Wisniewski, who was just on our podcast last week, has committed to LSU now. We didn't discuss it or anything on the record, but he was taking a visit there. I want to say that following weekend after we spoke with him. So just want to congratulate Caden. Excited to see what's next for him. But LSU's getting obviously a very, very talented player.
Yeah, that would have been a pretty big miss by us not dropping Caden Wisniewski in the commitment. So glad you caught that. I completely missed that on my end. I apologize, but Caden, congrats. I know he had some suitors there, so really looking forward to seeing what he can kind of just continue to do and build off of a really, really special year. So hopefully this commitment now kind of lets him settle down for the winter. Feel some security there with the commitment. He doesn't have to kind of figure that whole thing out anymore, and he can just focus on the high school season coming up and beyond.
Yeah, so looking at the hot list this week, we are kind of rounding it out with our last two topics, so we'll see what we get here. We're going with, it looks like we're going to go with best two-way. So a couple weeks ago we had the best two-sport. It was supposed to be two-way. I think I misinterpreted it off the jump, but it is best two-way now. So who do you guys got? There should be a lot to choose from, I feel like.
Well,
Gosh, did we go to sport?
Yeah, we did.
We did.
Okay, I can't remember who I chose for that. All right, so this is best two-way? All right.
Is it frowned upon to take the exact same person that I used?
No, go for it if you want.
Ryan Dungeon.
Ryan Dungeon?
Yeah, Ryan Dungeon.
The golf. I
Golfer, baseball, but catcher pitcher. I mean, that dude, I love him on the mound. Absolute bulldog. You look up bulldog in the dictionary, there's a picture of Ryan Dungeon, and he is right at you. It is like high leverage closer vibes, and he is going to beat you. At the plate, he can throw the heck out of it. He can hit. I mean, I've never seen that dude not hit in game. I just love the way that dude plays the game all around.
I've got one, but recent Illinois State commit, Caden Shotzik from Brimfield. I'm a big fan of him. He's just a freak. Really, I thought took a next step. Like he was a future game for us. Not in I guess it would have been 2024. Comes to the Illinois State games this year, and I just kind of thought like he elevated himself into a real pro follow. lively fastball, really good slider on the mound. Like, I think there's more to tap into. And then offensively, it's a grown man swing with all kinds of electricity to it and jump off the barrel. And I got a note because I think we saw him at the PBR Fall Championship, and he did something like maybe 106 or something off the bat, and he was actually playing through a fracture. So he's either had surgery or just rehabbing right now, like kind of resting and getting it right. But to me, that just speaks to the freakness of Caden Shotzik, that he's playing through a hand injury of some sort, and he's still, first off, he's still playing. He's swinging the bat, and then he's producing exit velocities like that. So there's probably more you guys could add on to Caden, but I'm a huge fan. That just jumped right off the page to me because he's one of those guys too. Like, I don't know where he's gonna be. You know, Illinois State commit. As he gets there, like, is it gonna turn into a hitter? Is it gonna be so good on the mound where it's got to stay there? Like, I don't know. But both are super intriguing. Both are really loud. I think I've talked about Caden maybe on like every bullpen we've had over the last month or two after the Illinois State games. And maybe when it comes back around to me, I'll see if I have another guy. But just wanted to shout him out once again.
No, that's the least surprising thing ever, that he is, playing through an injury and playing well. Because one thing that I forgot to mention the last time we talked about him, he's a defenseman in hockey. And that was like another very unsurprising thing to me, because you see that dude. I would not want to be in front of that dude on the ice if he's coming at me. It makes perfect sense. He looks like what's the word? Drew, you're a hockey guy. The enforcer out there.
Yeah, there you go.
He's the guy that comes
perfect.
in and, cleans up the mess and gets people a little, rattles their cage a little bit. So very unsurprising that he is, showing that toughness on the baseball field as well.
I'm going to go with recent Lindenwood commit, Hunter Ball from Edwardsville. He's a two-way guy that I got to see a lot during the spring. Just pitchability out the wazoo on the mound. And then also at the plate, he was consistently getting on base, coming up with singles, coming up with as much as he could for a very competitive Edwardsville team. Great commit, great pickup by the Lindenwood squad, and he showed up well during the state games as well.
All right, I'll get in there. I'm going to go – this is a guy we haven't seen for a couple of years just due to injury, but I'm going to go with Trevor McClure out of Mount Vernon. Tyler, I apologize. I did not think that's who you would take, but no, McClure, to me, he's just a guy that competes on the mound at the plate. He performed a lot. Like at the Illinois State games, we saw multiple hits from him. On the mound, he did really well too, but 6.94 runner is what we last saw him at. On the mound, he's like up to 88, sits mid-upper 80s, but just a really good two-way there out of central southern Illinois part of the state.
That one hurt, Gavin. That one hurt. Great shout-out, though. I think I speak for the entire group. Like, we're really excited to see Trevor back on the baseball field, hopefully as early as this spring. Had an injury that sidelined him last year, but hopefully we'll get to see him out soon. Great call there, Gav. But I'm going to go – there's actually quite a few different routes. I was perusing the 2027 list, but I'm going to go with recent Oklahoma commit Tyler Gluting. I think it's easy if you just want to talk about his arm talent on the mound to start, but like at the future games, we had him up to 90. I don't want to short him here, so I'm going to double check this real quick. But
it might have been like a 95.6.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Let's all look. Who can get it fast enough?
We got a 94.7, so we'll give him the 95. Had him up to 95 at the future games. But honestly, when I saw him in the spring, it was hard not to love his bat. And then at Georgia, that just only grew. I think results-wise, Steger probably had the best results for any of our hitters that entire week. But I think the best overall at-bats, you can make a very strong case that Tyler Gluting had the best at-bats from start to finish that week. The swings he was getting off, his ability to fight off pitches from the left side of the dish, really like the swing, really like the athletic profile. He's an outfielder, so that's who I'm going to go with here is Tyler Gluting.
And I'm going to circle back on Caden Shotzik. I just had to look at the email. So he had a hamate, he broke his hamate bone, had surgery, so he was doing that with a broken hamate bone. Hayden Adamowicz is another guy I'm going to throw out there, left from Schaumburg. Was a future gamer as well. I think the left-handed bat is really real. It's a middle-of-the-order type of bat, and then he's got more than enough stuff on the mound from the left side. I mean, another future gamer like Texas A&M commit, Brady Cunningham. Now, he's a bulldog on the mound, but it's just, to me, it's like that bat is so impactful, and it's such a natural feel to hit that, I look at him as a middle-of-the-order bat, and he just kind of pitches because he's really talented. We'll see. I believe he'd probably be going to Texas A&M as a hitter, but it's nice to have 90, 91 in your back pocket with a ton of strikes and competitiveness, and a huge fan of him too out of Brother Rice 2027.
Cole Brent was another name that I was kind of looking at. Just I've personally never seen him pitch in game. I've seen him only pitch in a showcase bullpen setting, but it's kind of lively. It's like upper 80s. Pretty quick arm, but at the plate, I think is where we've gotten a lot of looks at with him, and it's a strong left-handed hitter with power and just real feel to hit.
And we easily, if you're talking like best two-way prospects, like I think Caden Wisniewski's got to be right up there. I just felt like that's a little easy. I want to move down the list a little bit and find somebody like. Thought your Trevor McClure call-out was awesome because he's a guy that needs to be on a ton of people's radars and really got a tough draw here, having to miss the entire year. So can't wait to see what he kind of comes out and does this next spring. He'll be a guy we'll be keying in on early in the spring, going to watch Mount Vernon and see how he's getting back into the swing of things.
Yeah, so kind of looking at, we're calling it kind of like the way too early spring outlook or spring look. Really just, I think, looking ahead at the spring, what teams we think are maybe going to, have a good year or, at least on paper right now, look like they could be a really good team. I think we'll kind of each talk about one team and maybe kind of spread this out over the next few weeks. But if anybody's got anything, get in there.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes, right? I think getting into the fall, at least for us, I would love to get our IHS preseason questionnaire out to these coaches here soon. Like the IHS BCA convention's coming in December. Last year, it was in January. We interviewed some coaches kind of ahead of the season, get a more in-depth look on those teams and programs. I would love to do the same this December. So, hey, leading into that, we'll be sending those out. We'll be starting to look at schools, and it is early. Like practice and all that doesn't start till March, but we've seen a ton of stuff this summer, this fall. Kind of knowing what teams made it far last year and who brings back a ton of guys or who was maybe really young that now they're a year older and we think are going to take the next step. So hopefully there's plenty of schools to choose from, and maybe we'll get some questionnaires back that we weren't even thinking of in the next couple weeks that we can touch on. But who's got somebody? I mean, to me, like defending champions, Libertyville. That's a program I'll just kind of throw out there. 4A champs. Yeah, they lose Quinn Shambo. They lose their shortstop in Lockwood. But with the talent that's been rolling through that program and the young guys that we've seen and the fact that Ryan Wilberding we have down at the future games, he plays the outfield the entire spring for Libertyville because they have the player of the year in Quinn Shambo. He'll be moving back behind the plate, I'm sure, this year. They've got pitching, Brady Bunick. He's back. He's a year older. They've got Chase Lockwood. He'll probably be leading the squad. I'm doing this too off the top of my head, so please get in there as I miss some guys. But they've got their second baseman back, who we got to see kind of at the last chance fall ID, or maybe it was our I'm blanking on it. We just rolled it out, Hammett, and we were talking Trevor Wallace. I'm just blanking on what event he came to, but he'll be back.
Last chance summer ID.
There you go. Okay, last chance summer ID that he was at. And then, like, what really caught my eye was at the state games in Madden Kotz. He's been a guy that we've been kind of trending on for a while here. And then the left-handed hitter, who was just banging baseballs the entire Illinois State games. And if somebody's got that name for me, but 2027 first baseman.
Axel McKnight?
Yes.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about, Gavin. Axel McKnight, I think, is a guy that can slot right in there. And be a presence in that lineup. And I know I'm missing on some guys, so we were kind of talking about this. Like, I don't want to dig way in and have every guy off the top of my head, but please, like, help round out this team if I'm missing some guys.
Well, I think we need to just bring up Weston Wisikovic. I think that could be a very valuable bat that they add to help. Obviously, it's going to be really hard to replace a bat like Shambo, but if you're replacing him theoretically with Weston Wisikovic, I mean, fine. You know what I mean? Like, a young guy that's going to get at bats and can bang the baseball, they're going to be just fine.
I mean, man, I'll get in here with my team unless someone else is wanting to get in there. I don't want to.
We all know who you're taking. Just go ahead and take them.
All right. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy for me to go with this one, Normal Community. I thought about them throughout the spring, just having going to their games, and you're looking through the lineup or the roster, and you're like, dang, they got a lot of 26s, 27s on this roster. And then Normal U-High's Josh Jones, now going to Normal Community, and he's a upper 80s, low 90s arm to pair with a Gavin Swartz, who is again a low or upper 80s, low 90s guy. Took him to state. And finished third last year. They beat Brother Rice in the third place game. They returned 7 of their 9 starters from last year's team. They lose 2 arms to graduation, and they bring back 9 arms. They pitched 175 innings last year. So Normal Community, to me, looks like one of the top teams in the state again this year.
I love it, too, because they kind of have unfinished business, right? Like, that was a gutsy game they played in. Yeah, so we're going with some no-doubters here. I love it. You can basically pencil both those teams in, I would think, into the Power 25 here preseason. Not to give too much away.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Morton. I'm going to stay in my backyard here and stay in the Peoria area. I think that they lose Ryan Shafton to Bradley. That's a big arm to lose. But then now they have, I think, really good depth coming into the year. You got Colin Burns, Carson Mitchell, Matt Sander on the mound. Burns, McHenry commit. Him and Mitchell did really, really well in the summer and the fall circuit in front of us. And then you look at the two-ways, Cam Crawford, Owen Adams, Anderson Boss is a guy that came out of nowhere during the fall championships and ran Tool. He looks really good. Also in the infield, you have Hudson Lovell, Jude Parnham, and both of those two are 2027s to keep an eye on. And then also Sage Lelm, top 50 guy in the 28 ranks, that looked really good throughout the entire summer for us. So Morton's kind of looking good right now.
I don't know. There's probably going to be some overlap here between me and Hammett, obviously being in similar areas, but not. I don't know. A couple weeks ago, I felt like we were kind of talking about this team as like a team who might end up being our preseason number 1. And sorry to be chalky, but St. Lawrence to me, for a 3A school, my lord, are they stacked? They bring back a lot of that same team that won state last year. On the mound, they'll still have John Strakowski. They'll still have Sam Chin. They're going to bring back Jimmy Benson. Offensively, you got Daniel Coyle. You got Mickey Lotus. You got Corey Less. Oh, not to mention they get Tristan Steger this year behind the plate, who, per our 2027 rankings, he's the best catcher in the class right now. So it's really an embarrassment of riches that they're going to have this spring. So to me, that again, not to give too much away, but they might have a very strong case to be our preseason number 1 heading into the spring.
Yeah, I'm glad you took them because it was between them and who I'm going to pick. So thank you to make it a little easier on me. So I'll take Brother Rice then. Arguably the best top-to-bottom 2027 group in the state. And oh yeah, they're adding Luca Agni now, which is just a versatile defender. You can put him at catcher. You can put him up the middle of the infield. You can probably put him in the outfield. But man, I mean, they're just loaded top to bottom, and they're a battle-tested group. Coach McBride always has them play a tough schedule early. They're going to be battle-tested come playoff time. I mean, we can go down the list with guys. I mean, they got Brady Cunningham, Gavin Stanislawski, Luca Agni, like I said.
Anthony Cardellano,
Cardellano,
getting
of course.
hurt, and they still make it to state. We've talked on him a ton, and I think you said it, like the embarrassment of riches with the 27. So
yeah.
Feel free to rattle out. I mean, Colin Campbell,
yeah.
like they it's going to be a really good league there in that CCL. When you're throwing out a St. Lawrence with the guys that they're bringing back, the Brother Rice, and you can't forget about Pravi, St. Rita, all these teams. So yeah, I'm sure we're missing on some guys there. Like Braden McKendrick on the mound. He was huge for them the entire year. Aiden Dillon, a left-hander that they'll bring back. I don't ever want to, it's hard when we do these preseason previews and we don't have the entire rosters right in front of us because I hate missing on a guy, but I think that just gives you a little clue into how many guys we can just kind of rattle off and they'll be bringing that are impact guys. Well above average. A lot of them are committed, and Nolan Ramley, I don't even know if we mentioned Nolan Ramley. Maybe you did.
No, I didn't.
He's got a younger brother, Carson Ramley, coming up as well. Like, they're going to not only have the pieces, but they'll be deep. And yeah, it's gonna be, I think, as you guys say, like, oh man, St. Lawrence, Brother Rice, and I'm talking about Libertyville, who won state last year. Like, I think we're gonna have some really hard conversations when it comes to like the top 5 and normal community and all these. So that's the fun of this. And what I also love is like more things gonna, come out over the winter as we see these guys at preseason events. Like, who maybe was on the cusp for Libertyville last year who's made a huge jump. Maybe it's Man Kotz. Like, whether it's with his left-handed bat and on the infield, or maybe all of a sudden he's 88-92 on the mound, because like either one of those is very possible. You mentioned Josh Jones down in Normal Community. Like, does he keep making jumps? Like, they already have Gavin Swartz. So that's going to be the fun of this. I kind of gets the juices flowing here early, and it's only in November, just kind of talking through these teams and digging and really doing our research, because I think like we pride ourselves in that. When we roll out these preseason Power 25 rankings, like, it's not just, look at a couple schools. Hey, they had a good year last year. Let's just put them in. Like, no, we're looking at who they lost, who they're bringing up, who are the newcomers that are going to impact. Also like coaches and how they play, and track record definitely does play into it. But it leads to a ton of good conversations.
All right, and then looking at our Illinois State game scouting reports this week, last week, if you listen consistently, you'll have known that with our scouting reports being released on the website, we are now then on the podcast kind of going through and looking at them position by position, talking through players that weren't ranked in those stories. And today we're talking about the 27 pitchers. Last week we talked about the 26s. But who do you guys got? Who's your 2027 arm that you want to mention?
A guy who we'll probably talk about in the previous segment we just did whenever we bring up Providence Catholic, but Kobe Jordan, 6'5", 209, was on my mound at state games. It's hard not to love the upside here. At this event, he was 82-86, touched an 87 with the fastball. I think the off speed, is still developing. Obviously, he's still a pretty young kid, but we've also seen, he's putting in the work this offseason, so that 86, 87 could very well be 88, 89 in the spring, or potentially even higher than that. So, ton of upside here. Gotta love the frame. Love the long levers on the mound as well. So, Kobe Jordan was a no-doubter for me here.
I was gonna say, you can't really draw up a more intriguing frame, especially when it comes to like future velocity jumps. Just the long levers. He's got more weight to add on quality strength. He's listed at 6'5", 215, and it looks like he could put on 20 pounds easily, and just continue to turn into a specimen. I love that call out there, but I'm not gonna go next. I'll let you guys jump in. But I kind of had a feeling you were gonna go with Kobe Jordan there, Tyler.
Up in here, I'm going to go with Eli Mechanicu out of Dunlap. 2027 right-hander with athletic actions on the mound. He also plays up the middle when he's not pitching. Up to 85, has a slider as well and a changeup. I thought he looked really good based off the videos that we saw that we posted on Twitter. And he's also a guy that I've seen perform during the summer circuit and during the spring with Dunlap. He's just a guy that continues to develop and compete at the same time.
Yeah, Colin Grossenreiter is a right-handed arm from Williamsville. He's a 2027. Just looking back at the video, he's like a quick up-tempo mover, and it's pretty easy. There's not like a ton of effort in it. And I think, the arm is clean. It's a longer path. His fastball sat 82-85, was up to 85.8, so we'll ride up to 86. And then he was showing a slider, too, that looked pretty good. Kind of 11.5 shape, but he was kind of getting some swing and miss on it. And then a changeup at 75-79. So Colin Grossenreiter there from Williamsville. He's an uncommitted 2027 arm.
Yeah, I'll hop in here with Graydon Leonard from Gibson City, Melvin Sibley, 2027, uncommitted. A lot of upside in the frame. He's 6'2", 185. It's long levered, projectable. You can expect more physicality to come there. But I just like the way he gets down the mound. I mean, he's an inline mover, repeats well, clean arm with that 3/4 release. And the fastball, I mean, he's able to locate it in the zone. And the curveball was kind of the separator at the state games with, good action to it, spinning over 2,600 at times with 2-plane break with some feel to land it in the zone. And then the changeup, a quality third offering. He'll kill spin on it. It's developing feel at the moment, but just a good show pitch. And I'm sure if he cleans that up and gets that to a real third pitch, I mean, man, that's big starter upside right there.
No, I love him because he's kind of in that he's in that range velocity wise where it's like he's not going to be the super early commit. He's not flashing 92 yet. Like, guys are going to have to, watch the video and dream on that and realize, like, there are definitely more future jumps to come. Because what I love about him, like, some inside info on him is I'm pretty sure he can slam dunk a basketball. He plays 3 sports, and he's a small-town guy. Like, those are the guys, and you mentioned it, like, he's a clean mover. Like, those are the guys that are going to make these jumps. And, yeah, he may make a little bit later jump than some of these other guys that are maybe higher ranked in the class. But that is a guy that I'm going to keep an eye on and follow here moving forward because that jump could come at any time. I think I'm the last one to go here. I'm going to go with Christopher Chitaro at St. Ignatius. He was also at the Illinois State Games, left-hander. Didn't have as much research on him because I was kind of keying in on Graydon Leonard. But he is a pretty clean mover down the mound as well. I like the arm action. It's clean. It's a little bit more of a shorter arm circle. Gets out front, drives it down in the zone. But he's 6 foot, 165. I think there's plenty more strength to come. Currently topping at 84, but left-handed. That's pretty clean. I think he's just a guy to follow in that 2027 class.
And one thing I wanted to mention here is kind of like I'm one, putting you guys on the spot a little bit, but two, we mentioned last week trying to come up with some new ideas like to get in here with the podcast, and one that we brought up was like either a voicemail or parents sending an email to somebody and basically ask a question that we then answer live on the podcast, which I think would be cool. I hope we can find a way to make that work, I guess. But to the listeners, like, let us know if that's something you'd be interested in. If so, just send us an email, send us a question, and we'll try and answer it. But I did receive a question from a parent a couple weeks back that I wanted to bring up on here, so I'm curious what you guys think. From a D1 coach's perspective, should an athlete post that they received an offer on Twitter?
I think it depends how you do it, but yeah, I mean, it puts pressure on other schools. It can be, used as an asset if done the right way. But yeah, I mean, it can help definitely add some pressure. If a school's treading lightly on you, you can make them pick up their feet a little bit and have to, move on you.
I'm of the opinion for baseball not to do that. I don't know. To me, it's tough. I just don't think I would have ever been that way, and maybe that's just a personal thing. I think football makes a ton of sense. For baseball, I don't know. I feel like it's just a different sport, and I feel like there's a ton of dynamics there. And to me, again, this is me personally, I just think it's a little look at me. But I also think, Hammett, the way you're bringing it up is a very valid point as well. So
it totally depends how you do it. If you are like, look at me, I think if you're respectful about it and, not making it a big show, then I think it's okay. But no, I totally see what you mean.
And did the question specify like what type of offer, Gav?
They did not. It just says it was just from a D1 coach's perspective, should an athlete post that they received an offer?
Division 1. Okay. I wanted to make sure it was the D1. I think is a little different. As somebody who played D3, I don't know that if you're a guy, you need to post that you're getting offers from Division 3s or anything like that. And that's not a shot at Division 3 baseball. Okay, I played it. I think you set yourself up potentially on social media, which is not always a fun place to kind of get crapped on. So that's just my opinion there.
I think 5 to 8 years ago, it would have definitely been kind of frowned upon. I think you only really saw that in football, and when guys did it in baseball, it was not the greatest look. And it's really just because that school that's on you, that's offered you, and maybe has you, has seen you or, done their due diligence, and brought you on campus and given you an offer. They don't really want you shouting that to the world. Now times have changed. It's more and more of a dog eat dog world out there. You see guys changing commitments late, all this stuff. So I do think there's more gray area on that now. What I have always appreciated, instead of saying, "Oh, I'm blessed to have received my second D1 offer," is like just put a picture out of you, on on the visit. It at least tells people like, hey, I went on a visit to this school. Maybe they offered you, maybe they didn't. And I think you guys were all kind of hitting on that. Like, it's kind of how you do it. But I think putting out a picture in front of a cool, monument or statue or baseball stadium or at the football field and just say, had a great visit with such and such today. I feel like that's more of the way to go about it in today's day and age. And then there's other people where they just want to keep their business to themselves, and hey, more power to you. Like, if you're good enough to be, getting an offer at one D1 school, like, you're probably good enough to be getting an offer at a couple. So I think that's kind of where I'm at with it.
That's a good point. All you guys, I'm kind of personally, I think for myself, I wouldn't have done it probably. And I'm kind of in the same boat as Tyler. I was not getting those, high level offers like that at the Division I level. I was, a JUCO Division III type of guy. So I wouldn't have been doing that personally. I guess I am curious though, like, why is that more common in football than other sports? I actually have seen it a little bit in basketball. Is there a reason behind football players doing that? Do you guys know?
For Division I mean, scholarships are so different now. That might be the same in baseball anymore, but like, I know in football it was a big deal because in football it's full ride scholarship. Baseball, I know scholarship limits have changed, and Drew, I would love for you to hop in here because you probably know way more about the scholarship rules now in baseball than I do. But to me, that would be my guess as to why it probably started with like a football or a basketball, because to my knowledge, those are all full rides. So, in baseball, when we played, like, full rides weren't really a thing. And maybe that's why it's a little different. Like, in football, you don't have to worry about your paying for school, really. And for us baseball players, it was obviously a lot different. But I know there's been some rule changes. Drew, I don't know if it's any different now, but I want to say there's full rides in baseball now, correct?
Yeah, well, I mean, the rules are ever changing. It's crazy. It's one rule 1 week is already changed the next week. There are more opportunities to get full rides in baseball now than ever. I don't know why football had always done it. To me, like, my head goes to, they used to flip commitments left and right. They would commit to a school, but it didn't even mean you were committed. And like, schools would be actively recruiting kids that were committed. Like, Alabama would flip a kid that was committed to Minnesota. Who knows? So I don't know why football's just always been like that ever since I've been even coaching. So I can't speak on why it started, why they did it, why baseball, hadn't, but very different as far as like scholarships and just, I mean, the amount of money that goes into a football program and those scholarships will always outweigh a baseball program.
Well, and I think the money, with football, like, we all love baseball, right? Hopefully college baseball continues to grow because it's definitely been growing the last decade. But college football is what funds a lot of these schools. That's at the Division I level, D2, D3 for sure. Like, it's crazy, but I think sometimes maybe it started with just like clout chasing. Like, I don't know. You get a ton of love if you're a football player at Riverside Brookfield, and hey, I got an offer from Bama today. Like, that means something on social media. So I'm sure that's probably just where it all started.
Well,
cool. Yeah.
I think that is like it is a lot of times clout chasing, and one of the things that I think is really important that I tell kids is don't go somewhere just for an Instagram post. Like we're going to turn this into a recruiting, talk now. Like don't go somewhere just for the Instagram post. I love that quote. Like do your homework. Go visit different schools, see what you like. Like do not let the Roman numeral dictate where you go, make or break. Like you have to go here because it's this versus somewhere else that might be a great fit for you. So just keep that in mind.
Pete, it's funny you bring that up. I'm not going to spoil much of it, but the answer. So on the Wisconsin podcast this morning with Caleb Durbin, they asked him about his journey. So be sure just to listen to that so you guys can kind of hear the whole thing. But he did mention almost that exact same thing that you said. He obviously was a Division III baseball player, didn't go Division I, didn't have any offers to play Division I to my knowledge, but he basically said the same thing. So I definitely would tell everyone to go listen to that, especially that part, because I thought it was super interesting and a really good answer by him. But yeah, no, I mean, this is cool. I appreciate the parent question. And this is completely anonymous. Like, we're not going to say who asked these questions or anything like that. But, if anyone's listening and they did hear that question and they have any questions for us that, maybe you don't want us to answer it on the podcast, I guess, but I think it would be really cool to have, questions from parents or players on our podcast, and we kind of go through it and answer it. But appreciate you guys listening. Be sure also just to let us know, like, any guests you would like us to try and line up, like anything like that. Just any feedback for us would be great. We're always looking for new ideas, players, coaches, whoever, to get on here and interview, really for the listener to have a good experience and maybe provide some value for the listener. But yeah, as always, appreciate you guys listening. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube, and follow us on Apple and Spotify podcasts.
Gavin, you said it. Make sure to subscribe. We could use all the help we could get. Hammer that button, hit it a couple times, tell everybody you know, and yeah, thanks again.